because life is too precious not to be simple. And we started doing a whole bunch of research and we made a decision, sight unseen, that we were moving here. In Portugal, I've been thinking about a fruit.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's the fruit?
The fruit for me is...
On this week's episode, I'm joined by Amir Ghannad. Amir is originally from Iran, having spent a large part of his life in the US, some time in Thailand. Him and his family moved to Portugal 2 years ago, having never been to the country before. Amir is also a book author, and him and his family run a business called the Ghannad Group, where they help leaders create extraordinary cultures in their companies. We discuss, amongst other things, why Amir and his family chose Portugal, having never been here before, what Amir likes about living in an authentic Portuguese village. We talk about food, we talk about the people, we talk about the infrastructure, we talk about the D7 process, and Amir discusses that if Portugal was a fruit, what fruit Portugal would be. For those of you listening, head over to our YouTube channel to watch some of this episode. And for those of you watching, click down below and subscribe. And for the full podcast episode, go to Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, over to my conversation with Amir. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. And I'm delighted to be joined here by Amir Ghannad. Amir, welcome. Thank you for being on the podcast. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Tell us a little bit about you to start off with, Amir.
So I grew up in Iran. Left Iran when I was 16 years old on my own. I went to the States to get an education, and the idea was that I would go back at some point, but a war broke out. There was a revolution, so on and so forth. I didn't get to make it back for 13 years or so. So basically been living in and out of the US for the last 45 years or so. I'm married. Basically, it'll be about 42 years this December. My wife and I have been married. We've got a couple of kids who also moved to Portugal with us. They're in their 30s. And I'm loving my life right here in Portugal. We have the best of both worlds. We live where we want to live, and I'm also serving my clients in the US by making regular visits over there. We were always eager to explore different cultures and go different places. So we started researching, and Portugal showed up on our radar through some influencers and all of this. And we started doing a whole bunch of research, and we made a decision, sight unseen, that we were moving here.
Wow.
And fortunately, when we got here, we were pleasantly surprised that it was even better than we thought.
What were some of the things you guys were, as a family, were looking for your next step?
So, some of the really attractive things about Portugal for us are, first of all, safety. It has been even more pronounced since all the mass shootings and all this in the States. But even in the absence of that, we always kind of appreciated, places where we're safe and secure and so on and so forth. So safety, quality of healthcare, and knowing that you're not going to be bankrupt if you ever have some major illness. The fact that it's, the weather is nice. People, of course, should be at the top of the list, extremely welcoming. Here, it's so easy to get to the rest of Europe and Africa and Middle East. And, I go to the States, it takes me 7 hours to go there. So it's centrally located where I can really go anywhere I want. Without having to fly 24, 30 hours or whatnot. Mm-hmm. We feel like we're not constantly being sold to, or there's not always some conflict that we're dealing with. So it's a peaceful life is what I would say. And then we started looking for a house to buy. So we were looking down there, but we decided that we just want to basically find the right house for us anywhere in Portugal. So we started exploring. We drove up and down Portugal many times, went to different places and looked at houses. And when we came to Braga, it immediately spoke to us. And like, I don't know, there's that Braga factor. Within 5 minutes, we knew this was home.
Like you said, the kindness you experience, the feeling of the place, it just feels good. It just feels good to be here. It just feels That's been your experience, and what do you think that is? I know it's maybe difficult to put into words, but how does that happen here in this country? Because it's quite unique.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are extremely welcoming, but not necessarily fake. But if you really want to get to know someone, like really deeply, it takes a long time. When we lived in Germany, it was more like it felt more like a coconut, if you will. Not. I hope I don't offend anybody, because on the outside, it felt like people were kind of rigid. But once you got to know
Once you got
people,
in,
like it was amazing. Like we have some German friends who are lifelong friends. Here in Portugal, I've been thinking about a fruit.
yeah, I was going to
Uh,
ask you, what's the fruit?
the fruit for me is a lychee, which is has a
Yeah,
very thin kind of shell. When you're walking by people or whatever, it's not like people are always kind of laughing and smiling, hello, all of this. But if the second they know that you need some help or whatever, man, they just open up to you and support you and all of this. But what I would suggest is, if anybody's visiting or coming here to live, is to leave yourself open to just sort of not experiencing everything the way that things should be in your mind,
yeah,
but like really accept what is, and you
yeah.
see that an abundance of kindness and generosity coming your way.
You have people that they want to experience the real thing. They want to experience an authentic Portuguese lifestyle. They want to experience the simple life and experience the real sort of authentic Portuguese village, which it sounds like that's what you and your family are doing.
Yeah.
What are you enjoying about being in a place like that?
Well, I tell you, the friendships that we have here are amazing. We get together on a regular basis, and so there are a lot of those kinds of social gatherings and activities. But the other thing, honestly, is I rode my bike the other day, and I was just going to go for a quick ride, and I had a few coins in my pocket. Didn't even take my wallet, and we have this little fruit stand nearby that always has really amazing avocados. Like they got a lot of good stuff, but their avocados stand out as like the item I'm always looking forward to. So I stopped in. I'm like, hey, let me go in there. And sure enough, they had avocados, but they also had some really big chestnuts. I mean, I've never seen these chestnuts that were like 5 or 6 centimeters wide. It was amazing. So I started filling out bags. Filling up the bags. I didn't even realize that I didn't have enough money. So I go up to the cashier, and she rings me up. And right then I remember, oh, I don't have my wallet. So I took out the coins out of my pocket, and I said, "This is all I have. I'll come right back." She said, "No, no, no, don't worry about it." And she didn't speak any English, but she was like, "Hey, it's okay. Thank you." Uh, and and she just gave it to me, right? And of course, I went back later on and gave her the rest of the money. But it's like there's this spirit of kind of trusting one another and prioritizing relationships over transactions and things like that.
I mean, tell us a little bit about your work, and what your group does. I mean, I know you've also written a book, so if you could tell us a little bit about that as well.
In 2015, we published a book. I say we because it's just as much my team's book as it is mine. I contributed the content, but my daughter was the one who kicked me in the butt and said, "Look, we're going to
Yeah,
make this."
she was the one that pushed you to do it. Yeah,
That's right. She
yeah.
took over the project, and her brother, did all the editing and all of this kind of stuff. And my wife's been involved as well. So we published this book, The Transformative Leader, that we've basically shipped to over 30 countries. And about 9 months later or so, I ended up leaving in my corporate career, and we started the Ghannad group. And we essentially work with our clients who want to create a better culture that delivers better results and better fulfillment for their people. And so our clients are anywhere from very small companies to Fortune 50 companies. So we've been very fortunate. We hit the ground running, and our company has been very successful. And so even now, basically, what we do is we hold workshops. I do some coaching, one-on-one coaching, and consulting, mostly engaging with companies for a 6-month period of time where we work together. And it's a combination of in-person and virtual events.
How does this place energize you? How does this place inspire you, give you the space to think, to create, to work?
One of the ways that this place inspires me is it allows me to kind of enjoy the things that I really love in my life. Essentially, we love the life that we live here, and it's all working out for us.
What do you think Portugal has to offer people from different parts of the world?
Well, again, I think there's something for everyone here. If you come with an open mind, there's something for everyone. First of all, I would say that some of the basic conveniences that you would want, they're all here. I mean, so essentially, there are some places in the world where it's really cheap to live, but there are some things that are missing there. You're not going to have really reliable internet. You're not going to have great roads. You may not have different kinds of selections of food or whatever. But here, the baseline is definitely high, and it's all there. So for me, it's the variety of options that are available here to really enrich your life.
When I travel, when I speak to other people, it is something that is so special here that the people just take you in, regardless of where you're from, how you look, what language you speak. I mean, what do you think is the reason that that people are this way in Portugal?
As a general comment, what I've heard from Portuguese is that, look, when we look to our past and dictatorship and so on and so forth, basically we don't ever want to have anything like that, and we want to create a society that gets along, where everybody is doing well and so on and so forth. So this is just a broad brush kind of statement that I've heard different versions of that from different people. Unfortunately, at this point, I have not yet studied and learned a history enough to say, hey, I know why people are this way. We're just really grateful that they are.
Have you picked up the language at all? How is that going?
I have enrolled now in school, which is going to start in the next week or two. So I intend to learn Portuguese, but I gave myself a little bit of a break when we first got here. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to do it yet, but now I'm jumping in feet first, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
You mentioned the fruit analogy. We spoke about if Portugal was a fruit, it would be a lychee. But how are you and your family enjoying the food here?
Oh my goodness. We love the fruit. My entire family, we eat a plant-based diet. We're vegan.
Okay.
And we've been amazed at first of all, the selection of vegan options that are available in restaurants and in the grocery stores. But most importantly, just the flavor of vegetables and fruit, which to me is like you bite into one of these little tomatoes, and it's just like, wow, I've gone to heaven. It's amazing how flavorful everything is. So we absolutely love it.
What's one thing that you would like people to remember and take away from our conversation? Just one thing.
One thing that I would say is, life is too short to be stuck anywhere. Whether it's a job that you don't really enjoy or a place where you live and you feel like, there's somewhere else that you want to live, I would say be adventurous, try different things. I'm 61 years old, and as I told some of my friends and family members that, we're moving to Portugal, they're like, oh, what if you don't like it over there? We're like, well, we're not trees, we can move again, but we think we're going to like it. So I'd say be adventurous, don't be stuck.
I love that quote, if you don't like something, move, you're not a tree. Amir, a question that we ask all of our guests: Portugal, the simple life. Why? Because
life is too precious not to be simple. It doesn't need to be complicated, and complications make life less enjoyable. So simple life is the way to go, and Portugal certainly offers that.
I love that. Thank you so much, Amir. I've loved this conversation. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And I'm going to let you call it.
All right. That's a wrap.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal the Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to the simple life.